While that is happening, I just want to say hi. My name is Genevieve Sly Crane. I am the creative writing director of the BFA program here at Stony Brook under a little organization called the Lichtenstein Center. I'm delighted to have you. I actually genuinely am not making that up. I love talking about this kind of thing. I love talking about essay writing and getting yourself across. And I also love talking about my program too. So if anybody has any questions about the creative writing program, we'll talk about that a little bit more at the end. Because this is more of an open meeting discussion, and because I genuinely hate talking to air, I strongly encourage you to engage. If I have a question or something, by all means, unmute yourself. Or if you have a question or something, unmute yourself, share it, drop it in the question and answer chat. And actually, before I go any further, I should introduce my pal, Lauren. Lauren, do you want to say hey?
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Sangemino. I'm an assistant director of admissions at Stony Brook. Thanks for joining us today. I'm here to answer any of your Stony Brook questions. If you have any, you can always put them in the Q&A, and I'll respond.
Okay. So we're going to start with just talking about the essay. I'm going to talk more obliquely about just what a personal statement or personal essay looks like when you're applying to an undergraduate program at a university. There are other things like personal statements for some programs sometimes, and we'll get into that too if anyone has questions about it. But we're going to start with a more general thing. And I thought that a fun thing would be to take a look at a statement that somebody wrote. And this is actually a famous person's essay. So he's applying to Harvard. It says, the reasons that I have for wishing to go to Harvard are several. I feel that Harvard can give me a better background and a better liberal education than any other university. I have always wanted to go there, as I have felt that it is not just another college, but is a university with something definite to offer. Then, too, I would like to go to the same college as my father. To be a Harvard man is an enviable distinction and one that I sincerely hope I shall attain. Does anybody want to guess whose essay this was? It's okay if you're afraid. It's not a trap, I promise. It's not Kermit the Frog. um, so it is JFK. Now, I don't particularly like JFK's statement / essay, whatever, when applying to Harvard. The reasons for that are, for one thing, it's arrogant, right? And it gives me no sense of who the person actually is. There's a lot of it's a very sort of generic boilerplate. Harvard's cool. It can do a lot for me. And I think it's better than other universities. And then that little curveball at the end of like, I'm also a legacy and you should let me in, doesn't really, it doesn't really reflect well on the kind of person writing that essay, right? So there's really nothing about this that tells me that this is a student who really wants to succeed, because there are no specifics in there for me to really sink into. He did get in, but it was a different time. So I have optimism now that admissions committees are more inclined to actually look at the quality and content and character of a person more than just a sort of boilerplate. Well, my dad went there and I think you're cool. So I wanted to address up front some common pitfalls that we see in an admissions essay, sort of essays that they don't really move us necessarily or speak to us. And then I find personally that sometimes looking at quote unquote bad examples is really helpful because it can make you feel a little superior and smug, which is a good feeling to have, especially when you go into writing your own thing. But it can also sort of illustrate what to avoid. And then, of course, I will have some positive examples or considerations to think about when crafting your own personal statement for universities. So common pitfalls we see are writing about a service trip abroad. And that could be like a church trip. It could be, just sort of a more general service trip. It's not that in itself is a bad thing. Of course it's not. But what we notice sometimes is the writer will say something about how they went there expecting, you know, an underprivileged group to be so grateful, but it turns out they really learned from the underprivileged group. It's seen so often that it can kind of feel like a cliche, and it can certainly feel condescending toward the other culture. Another thing that we might see a little too much of, I especially see this a lot in the supplemental personal statements that are submitted for creative writing majors, the early childhood tale. So I met Mickey Mouse when I was 4. That's great, but I don't know anything more about that person beyond they met Mickey Mouse when they were 4. Sometimes the writer will try to take a really cool you know, experience that they had and then glean something from it years later with hindsight, and that's hard to accomplish, especially in a really short space. Or a tale of woe. A bad thing happened. I was really sad, and I'm still sad, but not as sad. You don't want pity from an admissions group, right? You want to show growth in character. So we'll have a little more detailed examples of each of these things as we move forward, but this is the general idea. And then tale of hubris. You know, I got a really high score on the SAT. I mean, in a case like this, they already know. So you don't need to repeat it. There are some parts of your application that are already revealed to admissions. So if you're repeating yourself in your personal statement, you're kind of missing an opportunity to reveal your character instead. Here's an example of a service trip abroad excerpt. This is generated by ChatGPT, so don't worry, no writers were harmed in the making of this excerpt. Do not, by the way, use ChatGPT to write your personal statement because it will be extremely cheesy and flat like this. So I went on this mission trip to Nicaragua to bring laptops to families in need. But honestly, what I found was mind-blowing. These locals were ridiculously nice to each other, always smiling and helping out, even when they didn't have much. I thought I was there to help them, but there were so nice. And by the way, these are deliberate errors put in here so that you can see how frustrating it is when somebody's reading an essay that hasn't been proofread. It made me think differently about how to be nice at home. These people showed me what real kindness looks like. Now I'm back and I've decided to channel my inner Nicaraguan and actually treat people better. Guess I'm not just a hero. I'm a nicer version of myself too. What's wrong with this statement? Give me like one thing in the chat. Do you like the statement?
Hey Genevieve, just so you know, the slide is coming up as your background and
Oh,
you are in front of the slide, so it is blocking some of your image is blocking some of the slide. I don't know how
can I hide
to.
myself? How's this? No?
No, same.
Wow. Okay. Let me see.
And we're
This
also working on the chat. Let me just make sure everyone has access to the chat.
sure. Here. Let me stop share and see if I can show just the slide and not my mug. Hold on a second, guys. All right. I feel, by the way, I never feel more like an elderly millennial than when I'm doing a Zoom thing like this. Here we go. Is this better?
Yes, that is better.
Cool. So do we have any thoughts? Why might this not work as a personal statement?
I'm getting a message saying they're unable to use the chat. You could put it in the Q&A and we'll be able to view it that way. Someone said too vague.
It's very vague. It's also very generalizing, right? Um, why would you attribute, and maybe that's what this person is observing, right? Why would you attribute treating people well with one culture. That's a little strange and flattening and reductive, right? So for sure, I see a lot of vagueness here.
We also have comments. It seems to be more about him or herself, and they didn't add any personal growth and many grammar errors.
Yeah, bless, all true, right? So there's not really any evidence of proofreading. There's not really any evidence of personal depth. Um, and there's a lack of sincerity to this, right? It doesn't seem like this person actually learned something because they're not giving a concrete detail for their personal evolution. Excellent. Let's look into another not so good one that is written by a human with their permission. So this is the example I was referring to earlier, the sort of early childhood anecdote. I didn't like reading when I was little until I read Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief in 6th grade. I really liked how honest Percy was portrayed as a character, and I liked that he was brave but also imperfect at the same time, question mark. I also am from Long Island, so it was cool to see Long Island mentioned in a book. It made it feel real to me. Percy Jackson taught me that I can be brave like him. What do we see here? What's working? What isn't?
The chat has been enabled, just so you know. So you could either
Ooh,
use the Q&A or the chat. The Q&A, someone wrote grammar errors.
so much. Yes. So there's some major grammatical errors here. Why the TEH, right? Why do we have the question mark? What else do we see? Talks about Percy Jackson more than themselves, I'm seeing in the chat. Absolutely. Doesn't use any advanced language. We'll talk about advanced language because I love that that was brought up. I don't mind advanced language or sort of simple language like this as long as it's reflective of authenticity. Um, I agree with you. It would be cool to see words that push more beyond like honest or brave. But we'll talk about that more because it's a really good point. There's a lack of detail. They focus too much on a fictional character instead of himself. And it sounds a bit too casual. They don't talk about their qualities, but Percy Jackson's character. Yeah, I mean, it's great that this person is talking about a role model and what they aspire to be like, right? But again, we've got a lack of concrete detail, not a lot of real sense of the person beyond that they were a fan. It also shows that again, you have to remember that what they're looking at, this is the only chance they have to get to know you. I don't know if this person has read a lot since Percy Jackson, right? And so that can sometimes throw me off a little bit as a reader if the most meaningful thing that they've encountered or talked about of late is something that they read so long ago. It's not to say like, look, no shade at YA lit. I think it's really valuable. But I would hope that this person has encountered other role models and maybe a more nuanced idea of what a role model looks like as they've grown. And then here's the tale of woe. So when I was 12, my parents got a divorce. It was the right thing for them at the time, but at the time it was devastating to me. I didn't understand why I had to stay in my dad's new condo every other weekend when I could just stay at home with my mom. But at the same time, I hated her new boyfriend, Greg. I actually find that sentence a little funny, I gotta say. Soon after they divorced, I got a tattoo at a place that didn't check IDs. And then I got a staph infection, and then my grandma died. I cried every day, but I got through it. And I know I could survive anything after that. What's happening here? What works, what doesn't? Too much negativity and no growth. Bless. Absolutely right. Too much is going on. How did they overcome their struggles? Sure. Too casual. Yes. You guys are absolutely on to something here. We want to definitely highlight growth, lead on growth. Again, think about how much space you have. Usually in an essay, you have like 500 words to convey something. Obviously here we have way less to fit on a slide deck, but you know, if we're looking at a paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines are devoted to 5 and change lines are devoted to an incident when they were 12 that was really hard, totally understandable obstacle. Then grandma and a staph infection are like 2 words long, which also feel like big events, but they're not really elaborated on. And then there's really very little evidence of like, how did they get through it, right? Um, Again, I'm not saying don't write an essay about things that are hard, but do remember that a lot of people are going to write essays about major obstacles, and a lot of people are going to write essays about divorce or death of a grandparent. And there are real people on the other end that are reading these college admissions essays. And it's a real bummer to read about grandma dying in every college essay, right? So I just want us to be mindful of that. Um, I'm not saying don't do it. I just, let's think about frequency and how often these topics are brought up in essays. Um, and then Tale of Hubris. So my biggest accomplishment was being voted prom king of my high school. I always had a lot of friends, but being voted king was easily the best night of my life. It was so cool to see that all these people who cared about me made the choice to vote for me. The principal said there were 462 votes, and if I won, that means at least 232 people think I'm worthy of the title of the king. After I won, my parents were so proud of me. They bought me a Lexus. I made sure to share my good fortune by giving my friends rides to Buffalo Wild Wings. And actually, the thing is cut off there on weekends. So I'm going to ask a slightly different question here. What kind of person do we think this is? What kind of person is this? Again, remember, we are just looking at a snapshot of the person, right? So this writer could very well, volunteer at an animal shelter every day after school, but we don't see that. So what do they come off as here? They're not very humble. They are bragging, egotistical, rich. um, yeah, so there's definitely self-centered, conceited, arrogant, right? So again, yeah, we have these very limited opportunities to get a sense of a person, and he didn't work much for this accomplishment, which is such a good point too, right? I had a lot of friends. Sure, having a lot of friends is really cool. I don't know if that's necessarily an accomplishment, right? It might just, I guess you could say, being sociable and charismatic, and that's not something to completely discredit. Um, but it doesn't really show that he worked at that quality. He just kind of innately had it. And then, yeah, the Lexus thing is like, why mention that? It doesn't really, it's kind of irrelevant. Um, so yeah, this one throws me a little bit too. Now we can talk about bad essays all we want, but it's also a good opportunity um, for for us to look at stuff that actually works. And somebody's already alluded to this in the chat. The answer in an essay like this is always growth, right? Writing about growth in itself can become kind of a cliche too, in the same way that the tales of woe and the hubris stuff can be sort of cliche because it happens all the time. But in general, if you're going to write an essay and it's not especially memorable to an admissions committee, it's better that it be not memorable and in the good way, right? Like it's not memorable in a general, I suffered through something or I had some kind of adversity and then I grew from it and here's how I grew from it. And here's what I want to do moving forward. It does not have to be huge. And I really want to emphasize that. You do not have to win, like state championships on the soccer team or something. You do not have to be like the winner of the national spelling bee, right? Accomplishment is much more, it's much more subtle and reflective of who you are in a small way. So accomplishment of a long-term project in school. I know that sounds boring, but I promise you that's valuable. If you write about what you did in a long-term project at school, like say that you had to write, a one-year senior capstone project that annoyed you to death. about, I don't know, um, Somalia, right? And in the beginning, you had no idea about, the obstacles in Somalia, and your only real understanding of that country was like the movie Black Hawk Down, right? You can confess that you didn't know anything about Somalia, and then talk about what the research revealed to you. Did you learn about Somalia's economy? Were you able to draw parallels between that economy and the economy in the US? And did it make you think that maybe you wanted to go into economics, right? Is there something there that felt interesting and core to you? Similarly with volunteer work, if you want to write about volunteer work, I think that's noble and wonderful. However, this is just like that Nicaragua essay. You want to make sure that you are not painting the people that you helped as pitiful creatures that you are serving, right? You want to be very aware that when you're talking about volunteer work, it, it's not, your growth is not at the expense of another person's misery, right? So that's a really critical thing. Or even a part-time job. What did you hate about it? What did you love about it? And what did you learn from it? I know that when you see these kind of questions, if you're anything like me, or maybe I'm just mentally ill, I would say like my part-time job, I hated everything and I loved the paycheck and I learned nothing, right? And it's okay to have that answer initially, but then there's the opportunity to self-reflect. I was just talking to Lauren actually before this started about working a retail job. And I hated the sound of the phone ringing when I worked at a retail job because it was so stressful to me. I would rather see an essay about that specificity than just it was annoying and loud, right? Um, what did I love about it? Well, I certainly loved the paycheck, even though I also resented how low the pay was. But I really do like how it made me handle pressure better, right? I had a better sense working a part-time job of what it is like to have so many people coming at me at once. And so I certainly didn't love the feeling of that, but I really liked learning that I could put up with that kind of pressure and be okay, right? So the love about it could sort of dovetail there with a skill or something that you learned from it. Disliking someone and then seeing them differently, you know, this is, I think, key and very true for a lot of people in different phases of their life. There are plenty of friendships that begin from more of an enemy perspective. If there was somebody that you really didn't get along with, maybe throughout your K through 12 career, and then in your junior year, you're paired up with them or something in some kind of project or class environment, and you realize that they actually have a lot of depth to them. Again, that shows that you're willing to empathize and think about them. If you do write about seeing a person differently and you are doing this at like their expense, that's when you want to be mindful again, right? Otherwise, it is really useful to write about somebody and even maybe share that essay with them. If you feel like they're comfortable with how they're portrayed in this essay, then it's a sign that it's probably safe for you to write about them. Let's see. Okay, so growth, continued, other opportunities of things that you could write about. You could realize for the first time that you see yourself in a career or major that you're passionate about. And how did you realize that, right? Did you shadow someone in a job, do some kind of field work, learn something in school? I really recommend this one for people who realize in the last couple of years what it is they want to accomplish out of their undergraduate career. I want to emphasize that this is not necessarily everybody here. There are plenty of people who go into college and they don't know for sure what their major is going to be, and they are kind of worried about it. Don't use this kind of prompt. That's totally okay, right? This is really more of a specific thing. Like, let's say that you were interested in medicine in the last couple of years because you had some medical issues, right? That's when it's really worthwhile to dig into that. And then identifying and making some fun of your best and worst qualities. You're not, this is going to come down to tone really more than anything else. But it is useful to be a little bit self-deprecating, and also recognize your strengths in a personal statement. So let's see. Anne has a great question. What if we have two questions of what major we would like, but they're complete opposites? Should we mention both or one? Or is it better to do a different topic? That's a great question. I think it's okay to admit that you have dual passions, right? So you don't necessarily have to say like, oh, I don't know if I want to go into psych or art, okay? Because you don't need to pit them against each other in a personal statement. You could just say, I'm so excited about these two different opportunities before me, right? I really love this sort of aspect and I love this sort of aspect. The other nice thing about having two passions is that you could probably conceivably pursue both in an undergraduate setting. Lots of people double major, lots of people pick up minors in the things that they're really excited about if the major stuff isn't necessarily going to line up. And so in a circumstance like that, it's not necessarily a bad thing to say that you have two different paths before you. Is it true that religious essays are a little tricky? So, huh. Anna, are you okay with elaborating on that? Because that's a great question, but I just want to make sure I know where you're coming from. So, got it. Okay. So, like, sort of like a religious epiphany, right? Um, you know, I think that you again have to be like considerate of your audience. So, I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing to write about at all, right? If that is a really core thing for you and that's part of your identity, I think it's probably a reasonable move to say that you want to write an essay about that. I do wonder if, in general, is it is it going to, in some way, how do I put it? It'd be really useful to have a sense of how you would interact with the people around you in a university setting, right? So your relationship with your faith is valuable and core to you, but it's also helpful to see in an essay, like, how are you going to interact with your fellow humans, right? If your faith is a thing that is helping you have a stronger sense of connection with folks, in that way, it's really useful. But again, remember in a university, we want to see people who are collaborative and engaged with one another and excited to learn about the world. And if it's very important to you that the scaffolding of that is your faith, mention that up front and then talk actionably about how you want to move forward in your life here at a university. Let's see. I'm majoring in math. I've read that I shouldn't mention my major in my essay. However, I'd like to subtly show I use mathematical concepts to connect with everyday life. Is it okay if I talk about math in this indirect way rather than directly stating my intent to major in math? Yeah, I mean, look, if you say I really want to be a math major, your admissions person who is reading your essay would have to be the biggest grouch in the world if they were like, oh, they said what they want to major in, throw it away, right? It's similar to like if you want to say that your faith is really core to you and that feels like a critical thing that you need to mention to reveal your identity in some capacity, don't not say it, right? So I don't think that you're necessarily doing anything wrong if you say up front that you would love to be a math major. I think maybe the bigger thing that it's getting at here is boxing yourself into one thing, right? So you could say you want to major in math if that's a core goal, but it might also be useful to say that math is really important to you and you hope that your career in some way is going to use mathematics, right? And you can build an example of how mathematics in general has really appealed to you throughout your life. Let's see. So here's a question that I see from Jefferson. Describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Oh yeah, this is one of the Common App questions for this year. I've got this actually at the end of the slide deck. So you know what? I will save that because we'll talk about it when we get to that spot. Somebody's asking in a direct message, the key to a personal essay is to see growth, what you learn and how you change. Yes, we want to see depth of character, right? Richness of you as a person. Not, hi, I'm Genevieve, I'm a Libra, my favorite color is brown, I'm allergic to cats. Like, that's cool, right? All very basic stuff. But it doesn't give you an actual core sense of the person. And instead of just, I'm a Libra, could it be like, I'm a Libra and I'm embarrassed about it? That's interesting. Why? Right? If you have an essay that is explaining things a little bit more in detail, then it makes us want to read and connect better. Let's see. So here's a question. I feel that some colleges may hold certain stereotypes about Chinese students and wanting to connect mathematics with aspects of Chinese culture, especially this idea that we're good at academics. If I talk about my Chinese culture, I'm not sure how the school will perceive it. Could this be a concern? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Again, this is if it's a core thing that is important to you and you want to talk about that part of your identity, you absolutely should. If a certain topic is common, will it decrease the interest of the reader? I love that question. I think it could if you're not careful, right? So this is sort of what I was talking about earlier. If it's writing about your parents' divorce or death of an extended family member, or winning the state championship on the soccer team, there's a risk that it won't be a memorable essay. It's not necessarily bad that your essay isn't the most memorable thing in the bunch, right? Especially if the rest of your application is really incredible. Um, a lot of admissions folks know that the essay is the biggest obstacle in an application. The essay is it's more relevant for us to think about the essay as an opportunity to reveal more of ourselves and humanize us. And so if the topic is bland, but we still get a sense of your personality, that's more of a win, right? So, I mean, you could be writing about your parents' divorce, but if you're being sort of honest about who you are, or maybe even kind of detailed about what it's like to, go to mom's new apartment, that is much more interesting than just sort of this broad statement of like, my parents' divorce, it really sucked. I was bummed about it. Does that make sense? Is it a cliche to talk about how I once was shy at summer camp and I overcame that fear and now I'm a confident individual and became a camp counselor? I mean, look, everything is a cliche, technically. Everything has been done before, technically. So let's liberate ourselves of this cliche idea, right? I think that a lot of this is going to come down to how detailed are you? Can you talk about specifically what you might have looked like in a photograph of you when you were a camper, right? What does that person look like? Do you relate to that person now? That's a more interesting angle than just sort of blanket general statements. I'm writing about a problem that I haven't overcome, but that I've learned to accept. Could a reader misinterpret that growth as complacency? I think if you address that in the essay, that's a really interesting concept, right? So if you say that I have this ongoing issue, right? My hair that grows out of my head is green and I can't fix it, right? That's what a mess. And I've learned to accept that I have green hair because that's not going to change. You could have a line at the end that says, I recognize that in the wrong hands, this could make me look like I am complacent. However, I've realized that it's more important for me to focus on X, Y, and Z moving forward instead of this thing that I can't change about myself. Does that make any sense? Yeah, let's see. I'm currently doing my essay around the human mind and explain how wonderful our mind has the power to change our reality if we have a definite purpose for it. Would you say that is a common topic that you see regularly? I think that students will often have sort of like a philosophical perspective that they want to offer. So it's not that that never happens. I like the specificity of that observation, and I would love to see concrete examples of how that's applied, right? So again, it's good to like lay out some sort of philosophical ideal, but how does it work in your life? You know, what has that experience been like? By the way, you don't have to put that in the chat. It's just a thing to sort of mull over. Can you think of an actionable thing that you've gone through that reflects that philosophy? Um, I'm not going to read necessarily all of this right here, but I am going to just talk a little bit about the quark factor, because I think that this is a really useful thing for us to consider. Uh, it's sometimes helpful to write about something that is a little bit off about you. Not like, I collect human teeth or something creepy, but like something that is a little bit strange about you. Have you ever cut your hair off for charity? Do you collect something unusual that doesn't sound serial killery, like collecting human teeth? Have you ever gone bird watching? Have you gotten your head stuck in the banister stairs? Have you ever been in a tornado, right? Any of these things. I mean, talk about being the owner of a hedgehog. By all means, like do that. If it reflects that you have a love for animals and it has enriched you in some way, right? Have you ever gone to a jazz concert? Have you ever had a side hustle? Think through anecdotes that you might not necessarily initially consider putting in an essay. And then when you have an opportunity to write about them, you might realize that there is personal growth that has happened in there that you didn't even initially consider. Let's see here. Okay, so what should my general voice be, my tone in delivering this? You need to be honest, right? Realistic about who you are and what you know about yourself. Don't force an epiphany that suddenly I realized. It's okay. Not every essay needs to have this magical aha moment. And clear, right? So here I do recommend sticking to the vocab that you know. Um, I mean, I certainly don't want you to be so casual that you're just writing in slang, but it's okay to have clarity over this sort of elaborate language that might not necessarily even make sense or help the reader connect with you. I mean, Pearl Buck won the Pulitzer in like 1925 using the most simple sentences ever, right? If you just pick up one of her books, you will never read a page where you don't understand a word that she's written. And yet, it's a gorgeous book. It's a gorgeous book because she's being so honest and clean in her language. So in a lot of ways, that can be a benefit. Let's see. Okay, remember your audience. So look at Lauren down here, hanging out. Lauren is a regular human person, right? Um, she also is a genuinely good-natured person who does not want you to be rejected from a college, right? She wants you to get into the university you want to get in. Lauren is like most people that are reading these essays, right? It's rare for a malicious human to read this and go, oh, I can't wait to reject these people, right? Um, so she's a regular human person who wants you to succeed. And they're bored by seeing the same boilerplate essays. Okay. They genuinely want to admit people into the university who have curiosity and excitement to learn, who are really thoughtful, who are passionate about something in some way, who are really generally likable, somebody that they would want to talk to and learn more about. All of you, luckily, are likable people with cool futures ahead of you. So that the biggest obstacle in writing the essay is already gone. It's just that tension that we get around this thing that makes us forget that we are writing an essay to a human person who genuinely wants us to succeed. And that's what's really key when you're thinking about writing your own stuff. So yes, these are the common essay prompts. There's actually more than these. There are a couple of more, but I pulled the ones that I thought were most interesting and useful for students to write off of. Notice, by the way, that some of the questions that you've asked in the chat, some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful, they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. Similarly, at the bottom, you're going to see the lose track of time concept. Um, you know, both of those are a great opportunity to talk about your obsessions, right? Or the things that really make you tick. So if that is, your connection with your faith and how you want to apply that faith into the world, if that is about your identity, your culture, if that is about how much you love math, right? All of that is really useful and applicable here for a Common App essay. Um, and then there's the classic reflect on a time you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking and what was the outcome? That's great. It's a really open essay to address. And then reflect on something that someone has done for you that has made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. How has this gratitude affected or motivated you? All really good opportunities, right? I'm a personal fan of the first and final ones. Um, I think that that is probably rich territory to consider. Uh, and then here I see from Rachel, let's say I check off the box, but then my topic doesn't exactly match that question. Is that an issue? It's such a good question. Um, I think if you are, and Lauren, by any means, please feel free to chime in on your perspective on this. I think that if it's a slight deviation, it's fine. If you say that you are, if it's something that's totally out of pocket and hard to connect at all, that's different, right? Like if you're writing about um, questioning a belief or an idea, and then you write about the time that you saw a grizzly bear in the woods, and you don't connect those two things, that can feel a little bit disjointed, or like maybe you weren't checking the prompt. But otherwise, it's fine.
I would
Should
agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is, I mean, at one point there was a topic of your choice that you can do. I don't know if that one's still on there,
I
but
think it is. I just pulled the ones that felt a little more directed.
yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, if you wanted to write about anything you wanted to write about, you could. I would just put like your own question at the top of the essay so that we know what it is that you're answering.
Absolutely. I think that's key. Um, let's see. This Trinity, I can already tell you up front, I haven't even read the rest of your question, and it's not a silly question. All right. Um, let's see. So is a college essay or personal statement from high school to college different from a transfer essay in terms of choosing? No, I mean, actually, Lauren, are there specific questions for transfer students that are asked?
No, in fact, once you have 24 credits in college, we don't typically look for an essay or letters of recommendation because you've already completed a year's worth of college credit at that point. So we're mainly looking at how you're doing in the college setting. If you wanted to submit an essay as a transfer student, you can. We do sometimes have transfer students who do that. Um, Sometimes I think that 1 year of school and of college, but students do grow a lot. A lot of times that growth leads to them wanting to transfer. So that is also sometimes part of their essay as well.
Totally. Um, so do we need to include the question in our essays? In the Common App, I don't think you do. Do you, Lauren? Because you've already checked the box.
Yeah, no, you don't have to. If it was like your own topic that you wanted to write about, you could include that at the top of your essay. But otherwise, if you're answering one of the standard Common App questions, then you don't need to include it.
Okay, great. Are there any other more general questions about the university?
We did have two questions that came up earlier in the Q&A. One was how can you tell if something's AI written? And then another question was asking about the essay specifically for creative writing. And if you wouldn't mind talking about like how that would differ from your general uh, application essay.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so let's start with Lauren, what was the first one? Let's start with a more general one.
AI, how can you tell if something's
Oh,
AI written?
dude, I can smell AI from a mile away. Um, so
And
AI,
you have.
in
It's
fact,
come up before.
I have. Many times. So AI is really good at writing bad essays. It is not so good at writing essays that reveal a human quality, uh, because it is not a human. So it is really good at writing general stuff. Um, it is really good at getting its grammar right. Uh, but it lacks richness. It's kind of like, how do I put this? Reading it is kind of looking, it feels false from the very start. And in fact, in my creative writing classes, I have students use AI as an assignment to write a bad story and then write it like a human. Um, Generally, the syntax in AI kind of gives it away. I'm not going to tell you more than that in case you want to use it and then game the AI system. There are also like, this is a whole other thing, but if you feel suspicious, like there are AI checkers out in the world. And there's a lot of debate about how effective those are, but they generally do reveal enough. Um, so it's definitely a thing to look out for. Um, and I can tell you, look, I'm a novelist. Like I have a contract right now with Simon and Schuster that is breathing down my neck. I would love it if I could go into ChatGPT and be like, "Hey girl, can you write my whole novel?" Right? But it won't make something good. It'll make something that's a formula. It won't make something that's authentic. And voice is really key in a personal statement or in a novel. And AI doesn't have the ability to reflect voice and personality. It can just regurgitate. Um, let's see. Some colleges ask for supplemental essay, like why such and such college? How can we avoid repetitiveness? I think again, honesty is key here. So if your answer is actually because my boyfriend goes there, like don't say that, okay? But if you genuinely are excited about the course catalog, if you really like the location, if I mean, by all means, look at the college's mission statement because most of them have something and see if you agree with that mission statement. Does it have similar ideals that you want to reflect in some capacity? When a college is asking that kind of question, really what it's asking is, have you read about us at all, or do you just have a vague idea of who we are? And so you can answer that supplemental question with specifics. I read up the research. I'm really excited about the possibility of working with X, Y, and Z faculty. The department at this college is ranked blah, and I'm excited about working with a department that is that kind of ranking in the, across the United States, that sort of thing. Does your pre-med, pre-dental, pre-health undergrad program require a supplemental essay? And then I'll answer the creative writing essay question as well. Lauren, do you know the pre-med, pre-dental, pre-health program?
Um, yes, I'm just sorry. I was chatting.
Were you talking about me behind my back? Oh my God.
Require supplemental. So, okay, so pre-med, pre-dental, they're not actual majors. Those are basically like elective tracks so that you get the prerequisite classes you need to go on to graduate school after that. So you still have to declare another major. The one that does require additional essays is the Scholars for Med program and the Scholars for Dental program. Those are combined 8-year programs. Also, Honors College as well, any of the honors programs, they typically also require a supplemental essay as well.
And is that essay a more specific prompt essentially?
Yeah, so Scholars for Medicine asks, I forgot the exact question, but they usually ask, I guess, why do you want to go into this field and why do you think you'd be a good fit at the school? That sort of a thing. It's very specific.
Yeah, which kind of falls in line with this follow-up question. How can we answer the question, why should we accept you, or something like that?
Mhm.
I think you can say, in general, any college wants to see that you are curious to learn, willing to collaborate with others, um, and have a genuine belief that you can improve the world in some way. Uh, I think if you convey any of those positive qualities about yourself, that's a good answer, right? Especially if you can connect that to something concrete. Um, let's see. The pitfall example essays you share are extremely shallow and casual in style, at least to me. Do many of the applicants really write like that? Some do. What happens is I don't think that they're necessarily shallow people. I think that they're giving what I call beauty pageant answers, right? So they look shallow because they're just trying to like get to the growth point and be as fast about it as possible. They don't want to write the essay. They're anxious about it. And so they share this sort of very flat language that shows that they haven't read this essay over a lot and they haven't revised it a lot or reflected, and they just want to get it out. So it does come off looking kind of shallow. Would an undergraduate have to apply separately from their Common App application for those programs? I'm assuming they mean the dental and med school question. And I think the answer there, oh, you already got it, Lauren.
I got it. It's built into the application. It's all one.
So the creative writing supplement is another one to consider as well. I know that somebody had a question about that. So by the way, this is the QR code for the creative writing program. It's stonybrook.edu/BFA. If you click through the website, you'll see a little admissions section because the BFA at Stony Brook, so the creative writing major at Stony Brook, is an admissions only major. So you can get accepted into the university and then not necessarily get accepted into the creative writing major from the jump. You can reapply as a Stony Brook student though. So just because you get rejected going in your first year, it doesn't mean it won't necessarily happen for you. The supplemental essay question / personal statement that you have to answer for creative writing is to write about a book that changed you in some way. We have that question because A, we want to make sure that you're reading beyond Percy Jackson, right? And B, we really want to make sure that we can get a sense of your voice when you're talking about literature, right? You can't be a writer and do the writing thing without having some kind of passion for lit. What we see often in response to that question is students trying to circumvent and then write about a movie they love. And again, deviating from an actual book is hard, or writing about a book that you read, in first or second grade is hard. Let's see. Are there any other general questions? We've got a few more minutes.
I would just add that also when we're reviewing your essay, some of the things that we're looking for, well, one is your thought process. That's how we say that's how we get to know you a little bit more, but when we're reading or writing, we're really looking at your thought process, how you're forming your thoughts, how you're communicating those thoughts as well. We often will see your maturity within your essay, so that's another piece for us too. So I think those are some important aspects to the essay that people don't always realize that we look at.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you've elucidated that, Lauren. I think that's really important. Good. Other thoughts?
We had a question, can you get accepted to the creative writing program but rejected from Stony Brook? I'd just like to say no, it actually happens the reverse. So first you have to get admitted to Stony Brook, and then your portfolio is reviewed for creative writing, and then they will make a decision. So if you don't get admitted to creative writing, you would still have a spot at Stony Brook. But first you have to meet the general admissions criteria.
But remember, and this is really worth emphasizing, because there are plenty of students who apply to Stony Brook in the creative writing program. They get into Stony Brook. They don't necessarily make the cut on the creative writing program the first time around. And then after taking like a semester of classes, their brains just grow times 10 and they apply again and they get in the spring. So it's not like all hope is lost. And worst case scenario, if you get in to Stony Brook and you don't make the creative writing major and it's really important to you, we have a fantastic minor that really has all the same benefits of the major with the exception of the senior thesis capstone project. And we have a phenomenal English department and a multidisciplinary major that you could build something kind of cool out of as well. So all hope is not lost. Let's see. Da, da, da. How can we end the personal essay? So
Mm.
ending the personal essay, Lauren, did you want to say something there?
I was just going, good, good
So,
question.
I think again, confessing up front that if you really don't know how to end it, or if you worry that it feels cheesy or cliche, why not say that at the end? It feels complicated to end this essay by just admitting that I grew and that's it, but here I am, right? Revealing honesty is always a useful way to summarize something, right? It's okay to admit that you've struggled with how to end this essay and you feel like the best thing that you can say is blah. Um, let's see.
There
Do you
was a
have
question on can admitted students switching majors from arts and sciences to engineering or vice versa. So engineering is considered a restricted program at Stony Brook, and there are space limitations, so it is competitive to get into. So if you're interested in engineering, I would recommend applying for that on your application. This way, if you get in and you change your mind, you can easily switch out of engineering. If you get admitted to Stony Brook under a different major, it is much harder to get into engineering because you have to get the prerequisites. Sometimes it's hard to get the prerequisites again because of space availability. So it can definitely delay a student's progress. So I would say definitely apply engineering first, and then you can always switch out of it.
I love this question. I got sent directly to me. Do you have a higher chance of admission if you do early admission?
So with early action, what it means is that you have a strong interest, you're applying early because you'd like to know sooner of your admissions decision. Um, it's not binding in any way. So, you still have till May 1 to make your decision. For some restricted programs, it can help in terms of applying to early action because you're within the first pool of students to be reviewed. So in those situations, yes, it can be helpful. But you don't have to apply early action. Our regular deadline is January 15th. So if you want to take some time developing your application, maybe you want to take some additional tests just to see how you do, you do have that time to submit.
Good. I see a couple coming in here. So I got a private one, Lauren, that I think you might be better at answering. Is the business management program competitive to get into?
Yeah, that is another one of our restricted programs. So it is, I'd say it's more competitive than our general admission. Not as competitive as engineering. Mainly again because of certain amount of space within the program and popularity of it as well. There was a question, would you say all essays are read by admission staff? Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Sometimes by the department heads of the major you're going into, like me. Oh yeah, there are usually a few eyes on it over the course of the admissions process.
We had a question on like if someone had an interest in two different majors, if they were reviewed for the primary major and didn't get in, could they get in under the secondary major? No, you're only allowed to really pick one major on your application, and that's how we review your application based on that major that you chose.
Why wouldn't all students apply early action if it helps increase chance of admission? Because we are procrastinating creatures.
I'd say, I mean, it's not necessarily increasing your chances, you're just getting your decision earlier. We would still review the same application in January as we would in September. It's just really a matter of you're getting your decision sooner.
Is there a pre-PA track at Stony Brook? And if there is it competitive?
Pre-PA, there is a track, yes. It's not a major, so there's no competition there. You just select it and basically you get advised by our advisors to make sure you're getting the proper prerequisites for it. Oh, my screen jumped. Let's see. Do admissions look at standardized test scores for transfer applicants? So for transfers, once you have 24 credits or more, we do not look at any high school information. We're only looking at your college coursework. So no, you would not have to submit standardized test scores as a transfer if you have 24 or more credits in college.
Mhm. Is teacher education a restricted program?
No, it's not restricted.
Okay. Um, why is engineering such a popular major compared to others at Stony Brook? It's funny. I think there are lots of popular majors at Stony Brook, so that's kind of a hard
So
thing.
our most popular majors in order: first biology, second psychology, third English, fourth political science. Engineering is considered popular. It's actually our most competitive. So we get the most applications for engineering with the fewest amount of spaces. So that's why it appears to be popular. It's actually competitive.
Yeah, that's a very good distinction, right? Like
Mhm.
creative writing, we can only admit 25 majors a year, but we get like over 100 applicants. And so that's another thing that we're dealing with. Some of them are transfers, so they're different classes, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. Our SAT scores required for engineering. You can apply test optional for engineering. The admit rate for engineering, it's it's not
I like
pretty. I mean, we can get 5,000 applications for one particular program where we take 200 students. So it just depends on the area of engineering that you're looking to apply, but yes, it is competitive. And for if you maintain a certain GPA while doing pre-dental, you're automatically guaranteed a spot in the dental school. No, that is not true. You're only guaranteed a spot if you're in the Scholars for Dental program, which you can apply to as a freshman. How are dual enrollment courses looked at? Yeah, so dual enrollment courses we consider like college credit anywhere else. So as long as you get a C or higher in them, the credit will transfer. And we consider it, like taking a college level course. So academic rigor is how we view it. SAT score, are they required for merit scholarships? They're not required. We do give scholarships for students who do apply test optional. So just depends on how you did on your standardized tests and if you think that they're a good, paints a good picture of how you are academically, you can submit them. If you feel like they don't do you any justice, then apply test optional. We do have presidential scholarships, yes. Average SAT range is around a 1350, so that's the average. We take higher and lower. That's generally where most students fall.
Oh, I see. Look, I would love to look at your essay, but it would be unfair advantage. I can't give you advice up front, sadly. I'm sure it'll be great.
How do admissions officers feel about extenuating circumstances essays? I think that's better to put in the additional information section of the essay if you've had an extenuating circumstance. I think that tends to fit much better there.
Um,
Yes, you can email admissions anytime with questions about the school. Our email is enroll@stonybrook.edu. And our scholarships are pretty much merit-based. It changes from year to year depending on the pool of applicants, so we don't have like a specific minimum for them. It changes every year. Okay, so I think that's everything.
excellent.
Um, yeah. There is a free application week that SUNY does, which I believe is at the end of October. So if you go on the SUNY website, it'll tell you more about free application week. Yep. And any financial aid questions, you could always give their office a call, or their email is finaid, FIN aid at stonybrook.edu. Yeah. You're not obligated to live on campus your first year. So you can use either the SUNY app or the Common App. Yes. Okay. And that's all of them. So thank you. Thank you, Genevieve, so much for
Thank
your
you.
wonderful presentation.
I
We
legit
appreciate it.
enjoy this stuff. So truly, best of luck, everybody. You're going to find somewhere great, no matter where it is. Hopefully it's here. And if it is, come say hi, because I would love to meet you. All right.
Definitely.
All right. Bye,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye.